I think the real reason that I'm here is that some years ago, right before I left Connecticut, I had a terribly ill autistic kid, and I tested him for Lyme disease because I was practicing in Wilton, Connecticut, and the Wilton newspaper in the summer of '03 said 54% of families in Wilton have Lyme disease. And that's the lowball estimate because there are lots of people who don't get diagnosed. They don't even go to the doctor, and then some go to the doctor and they don't get diagnosed correctly, and some go and get diagnosed but not reported, and then lots of the ones that are reported are rejected because they don't meet CDC criteria. So this is a tremendous epidemic, and on a hunch, I tested this kid and he was positive. He was diagnosed at that time with bipolar illness, and he was on 4 very powerful antipsychotic drugs, and he was attending a special school and had a teacher's aide assigned to him full time because he was totally out of control. And the short story is that he ended up mainstreamed and very well. And I started checking all my autistic kids, and before I left, I had 9 in a row, 100% positive for Lyme disease. I didn't get a chance to treat most of them because I was being consulted as a, you're my last hope, doc, kind of thing. And I would say this, and they would go back to their pediatrician or whatever, and, oh, that's a bunch of baloney, so I didn't get to treat many. But I certainly think that Lyme has a role in some autistic kids. But this missing diagnosis, 25 years later, and it's still missing. Iatrogenic Candida albicans, the most common confounding variable in treating Lyme disease and autism. I think this is one of the tragedies, because in addition to not recognizing Lyme disease, the Infectious Disease Society doesn't recognize Candida appropriately either. So this is a tribute to C. Orion Truss, who published a book, The Missing Diagnosis, 25 years ago. I had been treating Candida since about 1972, when I learned a treatment program from the environmental medicine group. And when this book came out, it dramatically changed everything, because Dr. Truss pointed out that the problem in a woman with chronic recurring vaginal infection with yeast isn't a vaginal problem. It's a problem from the large intestinal colonization. So you can put anything you want into the vagina and get rid of it temporarily, but yeast likes it where it's warm and dark and moist. And the distance between the anus and the vagina is just about that long, and it's in a cleft of tissue that's warm and dark and moist. So unless the personal hygiene is scrupulous, the woman always has this organism present, and then any minor change in the vaginal environment causes a problem. It can be honeymoon cystitis, a lot of sexual activity. It can be taking birth control pills, which change the sugar content. It can be poor hygiene. In the most recent publication on Candida from the IDSA, boo, the Infectious Disease Society of America, which is dated 2004, online guidelines.gov, They discuss candida of almost every possible organ in the body except the large intestine. So there's an old medical truth. You cannot make a diagnosis if you don't think of it.